Okay, this is Reverend Bill, and tonight is Wednesday, the 8th of January, and I finally got to see Nosferatu this evening. Um, just got out of there a little while ago, actually. Uh, and for those of you who don't know, just to recap, I spent, I think it was last week, I spent a day or two watching all the Nosferatus and Shadow of a Vampire, which was a tongue-in-cheek making of Nosferatu. What would happen if they had a real vampire playing the role of a vampire, um, based on the real characters and actors that were involved in the movie? Because I guess there were rumors going around that what they weren't really actors, and someone had some fun with that. And also, I watched Bram Stoker's Dracula just to make sure I had that story right, because essentially Nosferatu is a knockoff Dracula. Um, and I'll go over that. First thing I'd like to note, I actually was a projectionist in movie theater. I worked in movie theater for about 10 years, maybe more. Um, so I did it back in the 80s and early 90s. So I kind of know how it used to go. And I kind of still use my theater clock when I go see a movie. And I thought it was kind of interesting here. I'm not going to spell out where I went, but the movie was listed at 6:40. Now, well, actually, it's 5:40. I apologize. It was 5:40 was listed as. Um, so to me, if I was the projectionist, I would start doing the trailers at about 5:30. So about 5:40, the movie would start, and then it would be 2 hours later, it would get out. But this was a little bit different. I got there at 5:30, and they had. I went to there for the previews. They didn't have any previews. They had commercials until basically 5:40. Then at 5:40, they started with trailers, and the movie didn't even start until I don't know 6:05. So I was there, for 35 minutes before I even got to see the movie, and I thought that was kind of weird. Maybe that's how they do things nowadays. But I always allowed for the trailer time. So if the movie starts at 5:40, it starts at 5:40. Anyway, regardless, on to the movie. Um, the first thing I noticed, I guess, was the story was essentially the same. I'm going to touch on a few differences. Um, I noticed the director Robert Eggers. Um, he was trying to do something with black and white and color. I wasn't quite sure, but then again, if I really watched just that, I'm sure it would probably I would have figured it out. But first, you're tempted to say, well, like right there, when it's the castle, or when Orlok's on, it's black and white, and then when it's normal people, it's color. But that's not true. I thought that at first, and then I noticed no. Sometimes when Orlok's not even around, Orlok being the name of the vampire that actually was traditionally called Dracula when Bram Stoker wrote the story. Yeah, just a little bit of that too, by the way. Bram Stoker wrote Dracula, and then they wanted to do um, a movie, and they didn't get the rights, so they just figured that they would copy it, and it's not an identical copy. As a matter of fact, all the Nosferatu movies, for the most part, have some differences. They aren't even agreeing on the true Nosferatu story. And I didn't read the book. I'm not going to read the book. I'm all vampired out. But yeah. So I mean, it came from Dracula, and I said before that when I first saw the movies, I definitely saw why they said it was taken from Dracula. I mean, it certainly was, but not that much. I think nowadays they probably would have just changed something here or there. The beginning, certainly, but they could have changed that. I think once you get around the middle towards the end, it's completely different in a lot of ways. Um, but they just, I guess they went to court and they ended up paying the copyright, and everyone got happy, I guess. But I think they could have just changed a few things and avoided any kind of infringement. But that's just me. Um, anyway, there were some scenes um, that were added to the movie. I will say that a lot of them I didn't see why they were added. To me, they just seemed like they were lengthening the movie. Having watched all the Nosferatu movies, for good or for bad, the other day, I was pretty well familiar with the story, and I saw things that didn't seem to belong and didn't really seem to add anything other than just make the story longer. Which I guess nowadays movies they seem to really make them go long. I don't know. In my day, unless you had some kind of an epic movie, you didn't make it, go much over 2 hours. I mean, if you had, Schindler's List, sure, Empire of the Sun, sure. Those two come to mind. Even Unforgiven, I think, was just over 2 hours, and that was considered to be long. But now they just love these movies going 2.5 hours. I don't understand why. But anyway, getting back to the point. So there seemed to be some added on scenes, which I didn't really think added much. Another one is the problem I had. Orlok's accent. I didn't want to fight trying to figure out what he was saying. I thought it sounded to me like Darth Vader with a bad Russian accent and asthma. Um, luckily, what he says isn't all that important. You can kind of just figure it out. I mean, if you really try, you can kind of understand. I just didn't feel like working, so I kind of knew the story. God, I knew the story, so I just kind of went along with it. But I thought the accent was really way too much, and actually, all the makeup and the part was played by Bill Skarsgård, and that guy's a scary dude anyway. I mean, I saw him in Hemlock Grove about 10 years ago, and that guy always looked like he was a vampire. So I don't know why they went nuts with all that makeup and that accent, but didn't really. I don't think it was needed. They also added another character who I don't think was in the other Nosferatus. Her name was Anna, but I think she was actually Lucy from the Dracula movies. For those of you who know or familiar with Lucy, she was kind of a friend of Mina in Dracula, or in this case, it's Ellen. Kind of the best friend. Only Anna seems to be a little bit more wholesome in Dracula. Lucy was a bit of a tramp, at least by their standards. But yeah, so they added her in there, and she was kind of a victim before Ellen, which again is more like the Dracula thing. They also gave a backstory between Ellen and Orlok, which I don't recall ever seeing before in anything I saw. Kind of like almost a predestined thing, that she was born to be with him, or something to that effect. They didn't really explain it all that well, which is fine because it doesn't really belong in the story. But yeah, it wasn't necessary, wasn't all that important. Don't know why they added it. Again, it might just be to make things more dramatic or just make it longer. I don't know. Willem Dafoe again was always good. He's always fine in anything I see him in. The problem there is, I think when he was involved, he played the Van Helsing character, and I think the plot seemed to get juggled around so quickly that I think it might be hard for someone who didn't see the other Nosferatus to follow exactly what was going on. I mean, I did, but then again, I kind of sat through 6 hours of Dracula and Nosferatu movies, so I kind of knew what was going on. But I was wondering if maybe the person off the street that wasn't all that familiar with the story could follow it. And the death definitely could be explained better. I don't want to blow anything, but I think we all know pretty much how it dies. The vampire always goes, and all the vampire movies has to. But how it got there, I think the other Nosferatu movies explained it better. How do I put this? I saw what was going on But again, I was watching for it. I knew it was going to end. I'm wondering if the average person off the street understood the motivation of the the vampire. Um, so that's something else. Oh, let's see. Aaron Taylor Johnson. Uh, he's been in a lot of movies lately. I kind of like him. I know he's had a bad role or two recently with Craven, and oh, I didn't like him in The Fall Guy at all. But generally, I find him watchable. At least it wasn't Pedro Pascal. I'm so sick of that guy. I was looking on the IMDb the other day. That guy, every time he gets a significant role in a movie, I'm talking about Pedro Pascal, they lose big bucks. I don't know why they keep on casting him. He has never had a starring position in a movie that has not tanked, and yet he's the first person that they think of when they do anything. Now, that's different on TV. He has been profitable on the TV, but he's like an albatross around the neck on a movie so far. I mean, it's a guaranteed loss when you make him like a significant character in a movie. Just something I noticed. Okay. So yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson played a role. He played the husband of Anna. Don't recall him in any of the other movies, but then again, I don't think Anna was either. Um, I mean, he was fine. The problem I had with his character is he seemed to change throughout the movie. So I'm not sure, to be honest with you, whether I liked him or I didn't like him. At times I liked him. Other times I kind of thought he was a pain in the neck. So I don't know. I like to know where you are with actors, and that kind of is how I feel about this movie in a whole. It's a well-made movie, definitely well-made. Uh, it's a tried and true story, Nosferatu. The problem I have is I don't think I cared enough about the characters. That could be because maybe I'm just all vampired out from all the movies that I've seen, but I didn't particularly root for anybody. At the end of the movie, as a matter of fact, there were some kids behind me that got up and started clapping, and I'm glad they enjoyed it. I was just kind of wondering what they were clapping for. It really was kind of odd. On another note, by the way, before I forget this, is it was directed and written by Robert Eggers. And I did notice, and I found this kind of interesting, probably because of my background, that he brought a lot of black magic and Satanism into the movie. I always think that the vampire movies are naturally satanic in themselves, but he mentioned a few things that weren't in anything else. It made me think he did his homework for this, because he actually did know some things about witchcraft, and he didn't just regurgitate what he saw. And I kind of like the idea that he took it there. But yeah, no, I mean, apparently the movie's fine. I got no problem with it. Maybe I just shouldn't have watched all the Nosferatu, so I'm hyper critical of it. But I would say if you really want to see it, go see it. It's not anything that you absolutely have to see. It's not perfect, but I've certainly seen a lot worse. As far as the Nosferatu movies, I mean, yeah, it might be the best. I didn't like the 1979 all that much. I just thought that Klaus Kinski was really good, but didn't like the supporting players. This one's good, solid all the way around. And the 1922 is silent. I don't think anyone really wants to watch that. So, yeah, if you want to watch Nosferatu, this would be it. So I'll give it 7 out of 10 in my opinion. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe. And if not, well, thank you for your time.